The Adventures of Hoodie Hi-Hat and the Insider. The Insider is in his study, and at a certain point a strong thought occurs to him, and he closes his book, brushes aside his calculations, turns away from the fire, puts down his glass of burgundy, and looks at the sunset in rapt silence. Hoodie Hi-Hat is by the stream in the valley under a mossy rock. He has been counting toadstools all day. At a certain point a strong thought occurs to him, and he sets down his maple gourd filled with toadstools, shoos back the congregated rock doves that have been practicing top 40s all day, promises a conversation at a later date to the perpetual rock hound eating raspberries, shucks his bark shoes for lighter attire at the ridge, and from a perch in a Douglas fir, looks at the sunset in rapt silence. The Insider and Hoodie Hi-Hat don't know it, but they are thinking exactly the same thing at the same time in two very different places. All the predictions said it was going to be a red sunset, but look, there is a peach color also. Now, I think it's time to trade hats. Hoodie Hi-Hat is greeted by a song sparrow. Greetings! I saw someone at the other end of the valley who looks just exactly like you, but not really. But you do have similar hats, so you do look the same. You do look the same. What? Really? Asked Hoodie Hi-Hat. What's their name? The Insider. And where does the Insider live? Inside. Now, wait a second, said Hoodie Hi-Hat. They can't have the same name and place. That would be like if I said my name is Hoodie Hi-Hat and I'm also from Hoodie Hi-Hat. It's true, said the bird. Okay, so what's this inside thing? The inside, the song sparrow said, puffing out his feathers. He loved being the first to tell information. The inside is at the top of the valley. It's a giant mushroom, and that is where the bird seed comes from. And that must be the place, realized Hoodie Hi-Hat, where Possum got to try chocolate last year. I got an idea. Let's trade hats. Ooh, this one's comfortable too. Hoodie Hi-Hat and Possum fall out of a tree while stealing chocolate mousse at a dinner party hosted by the Insider. It was Possum's idea. Devastated before the crowd, all stopped to see the commotion and the crash and the giant chocolate mousse fountain looking more like a boat than an umbrella, and right in the front row, Possum keeled over playing dead. Hoodie Hi-Hat might have done something, but the crowd responded as if he were the life of the party. The Insider! There you are! What a great stunt! You look 20 years younger! You look 20 years older! How did your hat get so big? Just then the Insider reappeared at the back of the crowd. He had been inside all this time. What's going on? Asked the Insider. The whole crowd went silent. Suddenly it was very clear that this was the Insider, and this other guy knee-deep in chocolate mousse was not. The scenario became evident to the Insider. He was also aware that about 10 of his recently graduated students were in the crowd. The Insider turned to Hoodie Hi-Hat. Sir, would you like a glass of champagne? Without anything, not even a moment, and not a trace of movement, the Insider was suddenly standing in front of Hoodie Hi-Hat, halfway through pouring a glass of champagne, perfect as a butler. Hoodie Hi-Hat, that's my name, and I'm much obliged. You are somewhat magical, though I know the trick. I won't tell anybody. Seems I do like chocolate, but can you help me get out of this fountain? I did not mean to land in it. I like your hat, by the way. Both the insider and Hoodie Hi-Hat said to each other at the same moment. From there, it all settled in naturally. Hoodie Hi-Hat was totally at ease, although he did pass off his champagne to Possum. It tastes too much like bubbly water. Possum, however, thought the champagne was grand, and soon learned that for every glass he drank, he made a new friend. Possum then went off into the night and into the party, and later, him and half the party were dancing in the meadow with most of the band howling at the moon. Meanwhile, Hoodie Hi-Hat, the insider, and the fiddle player were talking on the balcony about the intersection between nature, thought, and music. You know, that story just really inspires me to do a little change in fashion here. Don't mind if I do. Hoodie Hi-Hat showed up at the insider's manor first thing in the morning and was surprised to learn about tea. Never had the stuff, said Hoodie Hi-Hat. What does it do? Well, it's my morning drink, replied the insider. Would you like it with milk, lemon, or black? Hoodie Hi-Hat knew what milk was, knew which color black was, but hadn't a clue about lemons. He was winging it. I'll have my tea with lemon. He figured he'd learn two things at the same time. And day it was. The sun rose and the fog lifted. The birds of the garden had converged and dispersed 4 times over when their tea was finally finished. Well, how was it? Asked the insider with great interest. With a frankness that could only be Hoodie Hi-Hat, he looked out on the rising day and said, I can see this virtue as a morning drink, but I wouldn't stay with it, and surely I won't catch it again without your help. What do you not like about it? The cup. You mean it's too delicate? The saucer is strange? No, I just don't like cups. They hold me back. The insider was perplexed by Hoodie Hi-Hat's simplistic, bold statement. Do you have a morning drink that you prefer? Oh, yes. Can you share it with me? Well, sure, much obliged, but it's not morning anymore. It will have to be tomorrow. Done! Meet me at the Manor's River crossing at sun-up, and we'll go from there, said Hoodie Hi-Hat. The insider made a point of not having tea before meeting Hoodie Hi-Hat the next morning at the river, just to ensure he did not miss some aspect of the experience. What would be the preferred morning drink of Hoodie Hi-Hat? The answer was strenuous, especially undergoing it on an empty fuel tank, where the insider's morning drink was first thing after a bleary-eyed awakening. Hoodie Hi-Hat, it seemed, ran a marathon before his first cup, or without a cup, since that seemed to be a limitation. Where was Hoodie Hi-Hat taking him? They had cut off trail almost immediately, patched down to a creek that met the river near the bridge. They went upstream, following the valley, only to break off to a smaller stream and then a smaller one. They were in a mossy slot canyon of a place, 2 miles from any sign of a trail, still following streams, spindle spit between berry bushes and deer prints, when suddenly Hoodie Hi-Hat stopped. He looked up with a hush. The sun was coming through the trees in a just-so way. He looked down, and a long swath of light cut across the water. He had never seen this place before, but seeing it once was enough to know. Hoodie Hi-Hat took off his hat and drank. Got his nose and forehead in it, no problem. Hoodie Hi-Hat lay back in a patch of moss near the stream. The insider approached the water and knelt. He did not take off his hat because it was much trimmer than Hoodie Hi-Hat's hoodie. Mimicking Hoodie Hi-Hat, in the way he touched his lips to the stream's perfect flowing surface, he took a sip. The insider lifted his face, and at once the sunlight was straight across his closed eyes. The hike was over, and he had truly arrived. He took another sip and looked out across their narrow valley, dropping quickly to the distant river. The insider took another sip. Then he just gulped a mountain of water, the way Hoodie Hi-Hat had done. He was just thirsty. Whew! Well, how was it? Asked Hoodie Hi-Hat with great interest. With a frankness that could only be the insider, he looked out on the rising day and said, I can see this virtue as a morning drink, but I wouldn't stay with it, and I surely won't catch it again without your help. Interesting, said Hoodie Hi-Hat. Yes, impossibly interesting. Thank you. They stayed in the narrow canyon till all but noon o'clock, and then began their return trip downstream. All with them was a hushed silence, while the waterways grew in size and volume. Their farewell to each other was like the turn of a shadow. All was sure to happen again, and as for fulfillment and intrigue, these 2 mornings were no exception. But both the insider and Hoodie Hi-Hat had silently and separately took note that it would be best to visit their respected friend in the early afternoon, mid-afternoon, late afternoon, or evening. Morning drinks make the day. The insider wrote in his journal that night. Hoodie Hi-Hat said aloud to the wind, finding a rock that reminded him of a cup. Well, folks, I think you get the gist of it now. You kind of get what's going on. This is the part where I change my hat, and I take a drink of water, and we go into my other costume. But yeah, overall, I designed the stories to be very open and to cover a space where you could feel like the stories could just go on and on. Although it's only 5 pages, and I think it's 4 stories. But the idea is that they're very open and they continue and continue, if nothing else, in our minds and in our imaginations as we sit with the hats and wear the hats. So this is the final story. And what is that? It looks like a big fungus, Hoodie Hi-Hat asked the insider. They were in the insider's library, and Hoodie Hi-Hat was pointing at a map that showed from here to the coastline and the land surrounding. The insider told him this. Well, Hoodie Hi-Hat and the insider were sitting on the couch by now. It was a long explanation. Well, began Hoodie Hi-Hat for the second time, I would like to see the ocean. With this, Hoodie Hi-Hat got up and strode across the room. He looked closely at the map. We could take the car, said the insider, swishing his drink, spend the night on the coast and return the next day after sundown. We have headlights. Although most people in the valley don't have a clue about headlights, no one will call the sheriff thinking we are a runaway train. The valley. And the insider thought Hoodie Hi-Hat was picking up on his thought, although very soon it was clear that something entirely different was going on. As Hoodie Hi-Hat continued speaking, he began to pick up speed, like a train in his own way, so that by the time Hoodie Hi-Hat jumped out the window of the library, the act was natural and lithe. The insider was not at the right angle to see his landing, but he imagined that he bounced twice when he hit the lawn, unfazed and surely not hurt. But that had not happened yet. For now, Hoodie Hi-Hat was single-handedly figuring out the essence of topographical maps without a crumb of explanation. The ocean is bigger than the whole valley, mountain peak to mountain peak. Hoodie Hi-Hat surveyed the map's representative swath of blue with great reverence. The ocean. The question, he continued, is how to do all this within my own laws. I could easily go on someone else's trip, but my own trip, my journey, mine, how would that look? What would it do? Insider! The insider was startled. Insider? What is the ocean? What is it connected to? As usual, the insider's entire academic bearing, years of wisdom, and personal synthesis were put to the test by the fundamental nature of Hoodie Hi-Hat's questions. The ocean? Well, it's connected to more ocean, more land. He put down his drink and got up as he spoke. He gestured toward the globe. Of course! Of course, of course, of course, of course! The world! And that was when Hoodie Hi-Hat jumped out the library window. Life went on, and they barely talked about the incident again. There was, however, an overall impression that the whole subject just needed time to mature. The insider played a close hand, secretly befuddled, hoping that whatever trip his friend was planning/non-planning, that at least it included a perch for him to ride along. 14 years later. Man, that felt like a long time. The globe, the world, it all seemed to be collecting dust. Just about the time one would think a new, pivoting lifetime experience was due, an old thing showed up instead. Insider! The insider spilled half a cup of tea on the veranda. Sorry! Hoodie Hi-Hat skipped a beat. Insider, I got what we need. Let's go to the ocean. Oh, well, that's grand. Can I finish my tea first? Of course, I'll even join you. And they had their first morning tea together in years. There had been a landslide and a whole swath of forest had come down the mountain. The trees were large, stacked atop of each other like cordwood. Now, began Hoodie Hi-Hat. Now, how do we use this wealth to get to the ocean and return again to our valley? The insider was so pleased. Pleased by the endeavor. Pleased to be going to the ocean with his friend. And pleased from his toes to the tassel tip on his hat by how the posts and beams of his mental capacity were absolutely groaning and squeaking and humming under the strain brought on by this massive and adventurous design challenge. They left the valley by way of the river in 2 handmade boats of their own craftsmanship, made from the fallen trees. They traded the 2 boats for 2 horses at the coastline and began their adventure afoot. And when they finally returned, with Clydesdales full and sea kelp on their hats, well, that was a fine day.